They just love to see me suffer.
Some people recognize me and be like, you're the deodorant guy. And I'm just like, oh gosh, I don't really want to be known as that. That's kind of crazy.
For artists who want to network but don't know how or where to start, what would you recommend they do? Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Creative Confessions, where we talk about all things Artist Alley, manufacturing products as an artist, and small business advice. I'm your host, Macy, and I'm the artist and designer behind Mualcaina, a small business focused on kawaii designs. Now, for many of us running a small business, social media can be a very helpful tool to get our brand out there, but it can be a struggle keeping up with trends and the algorithm on top of getting content, managing our day-to-day, and vending in person. I'm excited to welcome our next guest, a fellow Artist Alley vlogger and someone who's been really killing it with the Artist Alley video content, Henry of Sticker Zoo Designs.
Hello.
Yeah.
I appreciate the compliment so much.
Of course.
And it is an honor to be here. Very excited.
Thank you for being a part of it. So I'd love to start out if you could share a little bit about yourself and how you started Sticker Zoo Designs.
Yeah, my name is Henry of Sticker Zoo Designs, and I kind of started around last September. I actually just hit my 1 year, technically, of tabling in person for the first time on September 17th. So like 5 days ago,
Congrats.
I woke up in the morning. Yeah, I didn't even realize that it was the 1 year because I was thinking about it before, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna remember this date. I'm gonna be like, oh my gosh, it's been 1 year. I didn't realize until I saw like people posting about their 1 year on Instagram, and then I was like, is everybody's 1 year on this day or something? Like that's just so crazy. Anyway, I started like pretty much after college. I decided I wanted to pursue an art focused career, even though that's not what I necessarily graduated like my major in, just because I felt like a lot of fulfillment from being able to do something that I could be creative about. But how it all started actually, before doing Sticker Zoo Designs and making my own art, I was actually printing stickers for people in my college community and space. So my college, there was like a big sticker community. People would get stickers and then share them with other students. People would buy them from the website like Sticker App or Sticker Mule. And then at the time I was like, okay, how can I kind of make money off of this? Because I'm like a broke college student. So I'm just like, how can I leverage this to, I don't know, like start a business or such? And so I was looking up heck of videos about how to make your own stickers. And then that whole summer, like of my last year of college, I was looking into how to make my own stickers. And then once that school year started, I made like an account and I was like, hey guys, I like sell stickers and then you can buy them from me. And I started at like a really low rate because I just compared it to Sticker App. I started marketing to some of the students and then they slowly started purchasing from me. And then I would set up like these meetup times throughout the week, like an hour increment between my classes. And I'd be like, okay, if you bought an order from me, we can meet at this time at this spot on campus and then you can get your stickers. I was doing that for a year and I was like, I don't really like this. Like, it's not really that lucrative, but it was a good start to understanding how business like worked. And I wasn't really drawing a whole lot at the time, but while I was like making stickers, I would indulge in content in like the anime convention scene and the Artist Alley scene. And I was like, wait, this is kind of a career that people can pursue. And so I was like, okay, let me try to research and understand how to do this because I had a little bit of background in drawing. I want to draw a lot more, but I don't really have anything. So the first stickers I made were like these Among Us characters. They were really derpy, but I was inspired by like a random post I saw online. And I was like, okay, I made a couple of them. People liked them. And then I'd try to sell it to the same people that would buy stickers from me. Not a lot of people were buying them. So I was like, okay, maybe I got to make more like fan art and stuff like that. I started making a lot of art. I started with stickers. And then I made keychains a little bit into the business. And I just signed up for my first tabling event. It was like a random like Etsy event inside a mall. I just put all the money I saved up from printing for people in college into starting an Artist Alley table and stuff. I feel like a lot of people have good capital per se. Like they had a full-time job and then they quit and then they put all that money into starting their Artist Alley table because it's not cheap. It's definitely not cheap to get like a tablecloth, a banner, and then just merchandise in general. And at the time, I was just making all my own stickers. So I was like, okay, that's not that expensive, but all the optics kind of are. I would look up like, okay, where did people buy these things from? Like a table runner. I put all my money into it. And then that's how I got started.
It's kind of crazy to think that you've been doing this for a year because it doesn't feel like it. I don't know. I feel
What
like
does
you've
that
been doing
mean?
it for like no, like in a good way. Like it feels like you've been doing it longer than a year. I'm surprised that you've only been doing this for a year.
I feel like there are a lot of people who shock me because they've only been doing it for a year as well. There was a lot of people I met in this scene who started around the same time as me. I'm like, oh wow, your display, your merchandise, everything is so good. How did you get started? And I just strike a conversation with them.
So since you're doing this now, are you currently doing it full time?
I am, and in my mind, I've been doing it full time since I first started because I used to work at my college's campus recreation, the gym. I was working there until literally the very end of that summer, before their next school year started. That was my only source of income at the time. So right as that ended, I started signing up for events, and even though I wasn't making a lot of money, I had some money saved up so that I could pay for rent and the basic necessities. To me, like the full time is just putting all my time into it and not looking for another job.
Nice. And with all of that, are you also doing most of everything yourself when it comes to like drawing, fulfilling orders, and then events or social media?
Yeah, unfortunately and fortunately, I would say I liked being able to have my own baby, my own child per se. Because I know another artist actually talk about their business like it's their baby, and I know a lot of people feel that way as well. And so I felt that way, and it's like you're taking care of your own child, and so I want to make sure that all the steps are thorough.
So, on top of running your social media and selling online, as you mentioned, you also vend in person at different events. And for the purposes of this episode, I will be using cons and events interchangeably. I feel like you already answered this, but you started vending in person about a year ago. How many events have you done since you first started?
Sometimes I feel like it's a lot, but I looked it up and it was 37 total events,
That's a
technically.
lot
And
for a year.
yeah. And some of them were like multi-day things. So I'm just like, okay, this is one event. Like if this is a week-long fair, that's one event. And I'm like, low key, I've spent a fourth of my year over the last like 365 days at events. I'm like, that's it's kind of a lot.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've been slaving away to this life.
And it's a lot of work because most of yours tend to be like the one day events, right? Because I know you do a lot of the college events.
Yeah, actually, the college events I go to, like UC Irvine's and UC San Diego's vendor fairs, they're a week long. And most
Oh,
recently, I was
wow.
at Long Beach. And so it's Monday through Friday. A lot of people don't stay for Friday because it's usually slower, especially for commuter school like Long Beach. People tend to leave on Friday to go home and such. So when I did that event about 2 weeks ago, I signed up for just Monday through Thursday. Like I initially signed up for Friday, but I decided not to be there.
That's fair. So, out of all of the conventions, which one would you say was your most successful?
Gosh, that's a loaded question, I feel like, because success can be defined in a lot of factors. I think success to me is financially successful, socially successful, and just like overall experience, personal reason successful. But I do think that financially successful is the paramount factor for determining whether events are successful. And to me, that was Anime Expo. Just like overall, it checked all the boxes. I had a lot of fun meeting people, meeting with customers, interacting with other artists, and it was a financially like really good event as well. And I think my expectations were really high because obviously it's deemed as the biggest anime convention in the nation. Everyone's obviously hyping it up. And so I come in with like a lot of expectations, and I usually go into events with little to no expectations. To have higher expectations can make me feel a little overwhelmed at first in terms of how I might feel on the success factor of it. But no, it was a really great turnout.
Would you say, I'm curious now, I know some people who did AX for the first time this year. I wouldn't say all of them, but some people felt a little disappointed or a little bit underwhelmed. Like, would you say that this year's AX met your expectations, even though you did want to not have expectations when going into that con?
I think personally it exceeded my expectations. But yeah, I know I heard that sentiment from other people about AX being okay. And I think that's the sort of comparison is a, the thief of joy. Like a lot of people who have been to AX or heard about AX from their friends, especially if they're close and they've been in the con circuit, hold themselves to a higher standard as well. I think that's where their disappointment from AX can come. But personally, I feel like it was amazing.
Out of all of the events, which one would you say was your most challenging?
I was like thinking about challenging as just the opposite as well. Like, what would have been my most challenging con or event? And I didn't have really an answer to that in my mind until yesterday.
Really?
I was actually so stressed at Anime Night Mart for a multitude of reasons, but the main one was I wanted to do this challenge where I had people draw at my table, and I bought the booth space instead of the artist alley space so I could have a 10 by 10 in the real estate to do something a little extra. And I made everything self-serve. So there's the sticker walls and then the keychain and other things that people can grab on their own. The challenge was having people draw their favorite evolution and pin it up on a board I put up on my like table. And first of all, it was a challenge to do that already. I was like, I didn't have in my mind how I wanted that to look. Like when I make my displays, sometimes I feel like I come unprepared. I don't draw anything out. I don't plan it out. And so I had to improvise a lot. But no, it was like a great turnout. Like a lot of people ended up drawing, but it was stressing me out because someone complained that they were like, oh, they should have a second table for this where they could draw and then also shop. And I was like, oh gosh, I don't even have another table. Like I just wanted to do this, but it was like the way I made the setup, it was a U shape. It would get really congested. Like it looked good for passersby. I definitely agree. Like when there's a lot of people at a table, you're kind of attracted to see what's going on there, the buzz. It was good, but also bad because people, like we only have one window for checking out. Right. And so people would be drawing right in front of that window and then someone would want to buy something and they can't really come up unless we signal them to. And so that was stressing me out. But I also wanted to make like a video as well, like a YouTube one and a shorts video. And I wanted to do it on time at the event as well to promote what was going on since I made these new stickers and I wanted to debut them at the event. And so I was trying to edit while I was there. And I asked my friend to help me. So I paid them so that they could take over while I was like editing. I edit on my tablet. I also do transactions on my tablet unless the Square terminal works. And it never works with my hotspot. It was just overall very like challenging, stressful event. I just kept saying that to my friend. I was like, I'm so stressed. And they're like, don't be stressed. It's okay.
Dang. Yeah, we're going to talk about social media later because I'm very impressed at how quick you edit because I'm like, damn, like I'll just edit the next day, but you have like all the complicated videos like up and I'm like, damn, I wish I can edit that fast.
You do edit fast, actually. Your turnover time for your videos is really quick compared to a lot of other
I feel like it's fast, and then sometimes I'm in the middle of exporting a video, and I see on my YouTube subscription, like, what the heck, like, Henry's video is already live.
What the?
And I feel like yours are a little bit more complicated, though.
I don't know, I just care a lot about how I edit my video, like, I want it to be a certain way. And so if there's ever a need to, like, outsource a specific task, video editing is something I would never want to take away from the whole like business because that's something I feel very passionate about. It might end up being a bottleneck one day and I'll cry if that happens. I do not know how to resolve that. Like I feel scared to ask someone else to edit for me, even if they're better at it.
But I think that's also part of running a small business is being able to delegate like what tasks you don't want to do and the ones that you actually do. And if video editing is one of them, I feel like it's worth keeping. Like I was talking to my friend who sometimes works for me part-time. She was saying, because like I was telling her like, oh, I don't like grading Ita bags. Like, please come back in the office. Like I want you to grade the Ita bags. And she would be like, yeah, because all you want to do is just edit like social media and create video content. I'm like, yeah, that's true. That's all I want to do in this business. Besides obviously designing products and all that. But yeah, that's the beauty of running a small business is seeing which parts of it you want to keep as a task.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I notice you tend to vend at college events and conventions. Can you describe what they're like and the differences you've noticed between the two? I know you touched upon this a little bit earlier.
College events can have a lot more people pass by your table. And I feel like the main factor between college events versus anime conventions is more on the competition side. At a college event, so say the vendor fairs that I do at UC Irvine or UC San Diego, you'll have like 50 booths, all different, right? There will be like jewelry, apparel, and then stickers and stationery and a whole bunch of other things. And so at max, there's probably like 50 vendors there. Whereas at an anime convention, if you're an artist, you're probably competing against at least like usually 100 other artists or more. Your booth can get very lost in the overall grand scheme of the artist alley. That can affect like your numbers, your revenue a lot when you attend these events. Because if you're at a college event and there's a ton of college students just walking by versus at an anime event where there's also a ton of people walking by, say there's like 1,000 at both. Obviously, you're going to have more people shop at your table if there's only 49 other vendors you have to compete against versus hundreds at an anime convention. And so I typically find that I do better at college events because there's just less competition. But I also think the audience is curated at an anime convention as well. They're specifically going to anime conventions, anime enthusiasts, to see certain artists or to buy things, to buy merchandise and support their local businesses. Whereas like at a college event, no one really knows who you are. Like you're just another vendor within this 50 lined up tables. And so a lot of people are walking by and they'll just make impulsive decisions. They're like gaslight their friends into buying something. If it's like a cute $1 or $2 sticker, it's really easy for people at the college events to make purchases. Whereas at anime conventions, they might be wanting to see a specific artist and not really look at your booth. So at like college events, a lot of people, when they tend to walk by, they don't know who you are. So they're just making their impulsive decisions. They're just buying things from basically a flea market. If you want to build a community there, your branding is very obvious and attractive. And so that, especially since they're quarterly vendor fairs, and I try to come back each quarter, that they can recognize the booth and be like, oh, I bought from this one last quarter, and slowly you'll become a brand or business that they recognize or can share with their friends. Be like, hey, I got cute things from this place. You should come with me and check it out.
I'm actually curious now, how much is like the cost difference between like an artist alley table versus like a college fair event?
Oh gosh,
I know
that's a
it's
good
kind of
question.
different because what is it? Like the length of time is different and I think you have more space for like a college fair.
Yeah. At the college fairs I do, the smallest booth size is a 10 by 10 space. And so you have a lot more real estate to work with compared to an artist alley where you're typically just given a 6-foot table or 8-foot table. And I think the great thing is your cost to table is around the same. For example, at the Irvine fair, your cost to table the entire week is $350. And at Anime
Wow.
Impulse or like any of their events, it's like $400. And it's just the weekend. It's only 2 days. So to me, I'm like 5 days worth of doing an event versus 2 days worth of doing an event for around the same table price. Like, why would I not do the college event? I think the only caveat is when you're applying to the fairs, there's an additional like hidden cost, I guess you can say, being that you have to purchase insurance. That can add up as well if you're not buying event specific insurance. So I pay an insurance plan that's year round. It's like $23.75 each month. And so that's on top of the table fee itself. And since I'm not doing an event every month that uses the insurance, and I don't have to give a certificate of insurance for every anime convention or such, you only usually need like a seller's permit. That cost can kind of passively add up unless you're doing a lot of these events. And so I try to make it an effort to do a lot of college events because usually they're the ones that require like a certificate of insurance to do them.
Would you say that college events are another good type of event to look into if you're in the artist alley scene?
I would say so, especially a lot of artists already come from a college background, I would say, so they could be familiar with the scene already. I think it's a good idea to look into college events because there are other vendors you can learn from in that space. I met a lot of great vendors as well who have been doing college fairs on top of anime conventions for a long time. And there's a couple artists that are trickling into that scene as well. And I don't know if it's because people didn't know about college events like that, but I think it's a good idea to try it if you're an artist.
And in this case, is it more so like you should focus on more local events, or is it something that people might be willing to travel for?
I commute to the college fairs since I'm based in SoCal. So a lot of the big schools that have fairs, even if it's a week long, I can still commute between the event. I think that a lot of artists do travel to their events. If you're local to a college, you should try to see if a couple of them have events you can go to, especially because the table cost isn't that high. For a lot of them.
Yeah, that's good to know. I think that way just because also living in SoCal, there's so many like Cal States, UCs, and then all the other private colleges. It's definitely worth it. I don't know how it is with like different states. But I know like Lindsay of Single Split, like I know she also does a lot of like college events in like the Seattle area. So I suppose I should try that. I should try looking into college events
Yeah,
too.
I agree. And I think that one of the potential reasons why artists might not do as well at college events is because if you're going to keep the same prices as anime conventions, and now your competitors are like flea market type vendors who sell really cheap items, you're going to have a lot harder of a time capturing an audience who would want your merchandise. To them, it's like really expensive. Again, not a lot of college students have the money to buy a $45 shirt or something of the sort, or even like a $25 tote bag, but they can afford a couple dollars for a sticker or a keychain or an enamel pin. If an artist is trying to do a college event, definitely be wary of the prices that you put out when you're catering to college students.
I definitely would not have thought of that. It's like I'm not bringing the $100 Eda bags at the
Yeah.
college event.
I was thinking that because I was like, well, you have experience doing night markets. You have a 10 by 10 setup. And so having your merchandise there would be really appealing to the students. But again, the $100 eater bag might be a little deterring to the students when they see like a $40 bag somewhere else at another vendor because they don't know how much it took to get that designed and manufactured.
So you've mentioned in some of your vlogs that you try to network at events, and of course, there is some differences in the context of Artist Alley versus like a corporate setting. Can you give a definition of what it means to network in an Artist Alley setting?
I like the fact that you bring up corporate networking versus artist alley or convention networking because my housemates work in corporate and they always talk about climbing the corporate ladder and how networking can often seem like kissing someone's am I allowed to curse on
Yeah,
the
you
show?
can. Yeah, I think it'll.
Okay.
This video is like, because I know the cursing, you can't have it within the first like 5 minutes or something, or else I get
Oh,
demonetized.
okay.
But since it's later, yeah, I drop F-bombs sometimes.
Oh my god. Can't wait for that. Climbing the corporate ladder kind of feels like kissing someone's ass. And in Artist Alley, it definitely does not feel that way. I think everyone is a friend or potential friend. When I was first starting out, actually, my very first convention was Anime Expo Chibi. I got off the wait list and it was like a week before they gave me a call and they were like, do you want to do this event? And I was like, heck yeah, it's AX Chibi. Why would I not? I got this table that was in like a corner. There was no one on my left and there was one person on my right. I only had one table neighbor. I was against the wall. No one was behind me. They had their setup covered and I didn't really have a chance to introduce myself to them. So I took it upon myself to talk with a whole bunch of other artists, especially it being my first convention. Just walked around. I asked my friends to help me that weekend. So I had the liberty of going around and chatting with different artists, just getting to know them, asking about their stamp rallies, things of that nature. Everyone is super receptive to just like making a new friend or asking about someone's merchandise or complimenting them for their table display. If I had the chance, my first couple anime conventions, I think the best way to network and make friends in your area is just to talk to your neighbors. I didn't really have that luxury necessarily at my first convention. For whatever events you end up doing, I think talking to your neighbors is a good way to network initially with people.
No, 100%, because I brought up the corporate thing because I used to work in corporate for like a year and a half. And even in college, I was setting myself up to work in corporate and like being in like club, like we were all about like networking. So it's kind of funny being able to apply some of those skills with kind of like networking in Artist Alley. But I feel like networking in Artist Alley is a little bit more genuine, like you mentioned, because like of course we're all helping each other business wise and support, but I feel like everyone's a friend and everyone's like very friendly. Personally, I'm very shy when it comes to introducing myself to people. Sometimes I have to be with another like artist friend because I'm like, I feel shy, like please come with me to say hi to this person. I've noticed the difference when you have people that you know in Artist Alley versus not, because I think my first Artist Alley, it was Anime LA 2022. I didn't know anyone at that convention, and I remember my table neighbor, he was so kind. He found out like, oh, like I was doing this convention as like my first con like ever, and he was like, why are you starting out with a con? I'm like, I don't know. That's when I also realized like there were so many things that I just didn't know you could do with an artist alley, because I think he was from Texas, and he was talking about how he didn't get a spot for Anime Impulse LA the following weekend, but he was just going to come in and bring his stuff and then show up and see if there were extra tables. And I'm like, you could do that? Like, I thought you just had to apply, and if you didn't get in, you didn't get in. I didn't realize you could just show up and then see if there were extra tables. Like, there were just so many nuances that I didn't know about Artist Alley if it wasn't for speaking with other people.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think that when you first meet people, it ends up snowballing because, like you said, when you know a friend, you'll introduce them to another friend because you're just like walking by or shopping together or just at different events. And so in the very beginning, it's hard to network because you don't know anyone. But once you know a couple people, that ends up increasing exponentially the more you're in the con circuit. Once you meet a couple people, they'll know that person, and then you'll end up making more friends along the way. And it'll, in the sense, be a little more effortless. But in the very beginning, it is really difficult. I definitely agree.
Yeah, I always say that for me as someone who is more leaning towards introversion and a little bit more shy, even though I did have some mutuals who were vending at cons, I don't think I was able to establish like really close like artist alley friend bonds until like 9 months into doing cons, because I think the first time I went out to dinner it was with like Coco Chun and then like Drawn by Ivy, like Ivy and Chun, and this was like the first AX Chibi, so it was like AX Chibi 2022. I think after that it kind of like just snowballed with the amount of like artist alley friends that I made, because we felt more like close with each other, because like, oh, we went out to dinner, and then it's like, oh, we should have dinner at this like after this con or whatever. Yeah, like a lot of them are like a lot of really close friends too at this point.
I think that's really cool to see because, or coming from someone who's extroverted, sometimes I feel a little afraid to talk to people who might present as introverted because I feel like I'm scaring them away if I'm become friends with them or like just talk to them. It's something I have to think about as well.
No, I think it's good though. I don't think, again, I kind of lean towards like, even though I'm more introverted but like ambiverted, but I feel like there are some people who are a little too like strong. I think you're fine. For artists who want to network but don't know how or where to start, what would you recommend they do?
Most people tend to lean towards introversion in the artist alley space. People come from artist backgrounds and a little daunting to walk up to random tables beside admiring their art and strike a conversation because you don't know them. It's strangers. It's like, it can be a little scary. And I think the easiest way to make friends or network is to talk to your neighbors. If you have neighbors on your left and right and behind you, since you're spending the whole weekend at an event with them, you might as well become friends. And then you might see each other at future events as well. And then now you can actually walk up to their table when they're at a different location, at a different event, and maybe even talk to their neighbors as well. But if all else fails, because sometimes it's a little daunting to walk up to tables, it's also really easy to chat with people on social media. Like if you join different Discords or swipe up on someone's story and make a comment about something they posted, their product or their video, I think it can get your name out there. You can connect with them on social media first and then end up meeting them in person, which I actually tended not to do. Like, I'm not a story swiper upper. I don't go on people's stories often and reply to something. I try to do it all in person. I haven't had a lot of interactions where I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been seeing you online, or like, it's so great to finally meet you in person. After chatting online for so long, I did all my networking in person. But I think it's a really good way though to meet people.
It's funny that you brought up networking aspect of like interacting on social media, which I totally forgot. That's usually what I did, I think, in the beginning. I think that's how I slowly became friends with like Ivy, like Drawn by Ivy, because we were interacting with each other on like social media. That also helps me gauge as to how close I can be with certain artist alley friends, because sometimes I'm nervous that I'm like, do I see them more as a friend than they see me as a friend? But when I see people interacting with me on like social media or like liking my stories and stuff, and I'm like, okay, like we are friends. But I'm like, I don't know if I'm crossing like boundaries. But yeah, that's how I do it, because I'm too scared to just jump that hurdle of like, hi, like I'm so and so and so. And it's like, I don't even know if you know me, but I'll introduce myself, versus kind of warming that up on social media and then once it gets to the point in person, it's not as scary.
Yeah, I heavily feel that one because I'm just like, I was literally having this conversation with my friend who's helping me yesterday at Anime Nightmare. We were driving back. We were talking about coming off too strong or like thinking you're way closer of a friend
Yeah.
to them than you actually are in their mind. Like to them, you might be like insufferable. And this guy always like comes up and talks to me, but like I don't even want to talk. But in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to visit my artist friend and give them a snack or check up on how they're doing. And I'm like, what if I just think I'm their friend, but they don't feel that same way? I feel like that can be hard to gauge sometimes. That's just me being very delusional in my mind about my social experiences. But no, like when I first met Ivy, I walked up to her table as well at Anime Los Angeles, the top of this year. It was like the second convention I did after XGB. I was like, oh my gosh, you like your booth looks so amazing. Low key, it kind of reminds me of this other booth though that's like pink. And I was referring to your booth.
Ah.
And she was like, "Oh, we're actually friends." And then I was like, "Oh, that makes sense," because her booth display just it seemed so similar to yours in how it presented, and that's what like drew me to it. It was like right behind my table, so I had only had to walk like one aisle down, and then I struck a conversation with her. I asked her about like how many events she's been doing, because at this time I had only been doing events for like 4 months, so I was very curious how people started, like their longevity in the scene, how many events they've been to and how they got started, because I wanted to get off on the right foot with my display and making sure I knew what I was doing just based on how other people were progressing and building their display and showcasing their merchandise. And I thought Ivy did an incredible job at that. So I was like asking her about that. And then I noticed she was also vlogging, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the first time I've seen someone vlog in person. That was, it was like, I had to ask about it. And she was extremely bubbly, very approachable person. So I was very grateful to like talk to her at that event.
Yeah, it's sometimes I'm like, it's kind of crazy, like intersecting of like friends, because I feel like everyone's just like friends in Artist Alley. Like, oh, like, so everyone knows each other, which is kind of crazy. It's like, oh, like, you know, so and so, like, yo, me too. Yeah, like we were at the same con at this con or whatever. So, what advice would you give to someone who also wants to start vending in Artist Alley?
Low key, I don't know if this is like a cop out answer or something. If you want to get started in Artist Alley, there's this channel called Mualcaina. Like, you watch all the videos. I think you will have a pretty good understanding of how to start an Artist Alley. There's literally small business tips and Artist Alley advice. And if you watch a lot of the videos or the podcasts on this channel, you can figure out a lot of things, because that's what I did. So,
Wow, thanks. I didn't even
not
pay
saying
him
it
to
won't
do
work
this.
for everybody, but my 1-for-1 experience, I know that it worked for me. So it might work for other people.
Wow, thanks. I'm glad it helped you though. Because sometimes like there were Artist Alley content when I was like starting, but I think or there wasn't a lot of information like specific to what I wanted to see versus like other small business tips, but it's not like I don't sell candles or all those things. So I'm glad it helped in your case.
Yeah, a lot.
So it's an understatement to say that you're very good at creating short form videos for social media. And we did talk about this a little earlier into this episode. How do you come up with the video ideas that you post?
I credit a lot of it to my ADHD that is undiagnosed, I think, or self-diagnosed. I tend to write down a lot of my ideas in notes, and they're just like random scribbles and blobs of ideas. And I get inspired by a lot of content I see as well from other artists, but also creators outside of this space. Like a couple of YouTubers I watch, Anthpo and Ryan Trahan, and these like really big creators that are doing very innovative things, and how they edit their videos inspires me to try to edit in that same way, but also just coming up with ideas. I think when I consume content like on TikTok or Instagram Reels, I try to think of how I can twist that into something digestible for an audience in the Artist Alley space, or at least the college space as well. When I first started doing the series I started where I go to different colleges and do sticker drops, it was like kind of an on a whim idea, but I had some semblance of why I wanted to do it. Because like I said, in college, there was a lot of people who were wanting stickers and giving out stickers as anonymous people. When I was making stickers for them and such, I learned a lot about that space. It was really attractive to the regular student who just liked stickers. So I was like, if I go to another school and give a sticker of their mascot, maybe people might like that. And so I was at an event, I was designing like cows because UC Davis is known for having a ton of cows, even though their mascot is Gunrock the Mustang. But a lot of the students resonate more with the cows. So I was planning to visit my friend at UC Davis, and I was like, well, if I'm gonna go up there anyway, why not do something fun on the side? I made these cow designs, and then I went up to school the day before. I planned to spend the day with my friend, and I posted on my story like, "Hey guys, send your UC Davis friends to come find me at the silo. I'll have these stickers and I'm giving them away for free." People started showing up. Like I said, I was gonna be there for a couple hours. I was just gonna draw and edit while I was there, like sitting outside. And I specifically chose to sit outside so that people could find me easily. And so when they came up, they were like, "Hey, I'm here for this sticker. My friend from, I don't know, like UC San Diego sent me." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Like, how did you even know about this?" Afterward, I made a video about it, and then people kept requesting me to go to different schools. And I was like, okay, wait, this actually kind of is a thing. So I made my next designs for a couple like upcoming colleges in SoCal. I think the next one I did was University of the Pacific in Stockton because I had Stockton Con at the time. And so I tried to pair the college drops in tandem with an event I had coming up, so it wouldn't be like necessarily out of the way for me. I gave away stickers there. I made another video about it, and then I just kept making videos about it, and people kept requesting me to go to colleges. And I was like, okay, wait, people really like this. This is kind of cool. It just kept going, and the school year ended. I was like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to make this better for the next school year. So I didn't post content for a long time, related to colleges at least. And I was really, really scared of posting something that was not college related because I feel like I branded myself to be so college oriented, stickers and mascots and animals, that people might not know me for anime designs or like fan art. And it was really scary when I went to Anime Expo. My roommate asked me, "Hey, are you doing anything for this event? Like an idea?" And I was like, "I don't know. I don't have any idea." And so off the top of my mind, I was like, well, people have been talking about how stinky it is here. So let me just go to Target and buy hecka deodorant and then slap a sticker I can make on there and then make a video out of that. Like these ideas just come randomly, very sporadically, just like shower thoughts, I guess. Like if you need a good idea, just shower for like 20 minutes and you might have a good idea. When I posted the video, like I edited it the day of for Anime Expo, or the day after, the first day, because it was a 4-day event. And I wanted to make sure the video was out during the event so that people could find out about it. And so on Friday, I posted it, and I was so scared because I was like, I'm posting something that's not college related for the first time. What if people don't like it? And then for some reason, people liked it. And then they actually came by and they wanted sticks of deodorant, maybe because I was giving it away for free. But at first, I wanted to just give the deodorant sticks to other artists. Like other artists would ideally in my mind show up and grab it. But then random people would just show up and be like, "Do you have deodorant?" And I'm like, sure, you can have it, I guess. I don't know how many people are going to come. And then I ran out of it all pretty much in the first day. That same day, that same morning that I posted it. And I was like, what the heck? And then from then on, I've just been trying to do different ideas of how I can like make something funny or make something cringe that people might laugh at.
Yeah, I feel like those types of videos do super well. And even for me, I feel like the videos where I don't think about it, like it's on the spot and I just like edit the video and I post it. Those are the ones that do super well. Like I think, what was it? I posted one video where Otakon was really, I think if I were to be asked like, oh, which one's your most challenging con? It was Otakon. It was like such a struggle because it was just me and my friend. And usually I have my other guy friend like helping at some cons, but he wasn't at this one. So we were doing all the physical labor. It's like I just had so much like video content of us struggling. And like there was even one part where, because for Otakon, they completely like closed the escalators. So you either had to wait an hour long for the elevators, or you had to go up 2 flights of stairs with your like 50-pound luggages. And we're like, we're not waiting an hour. We're going to climb up the stairs. I wish I got a video of that. But anyway, off topic. I did a video where it's like when your guy friend or something isn't there, so you have to do all the physical labor. And it was just like a compilation of me and my friend like struggling. And like that one did really well. And I'm like, they just love to see me suffer. But it's always those videos that you're not thinking, and those do like super well.
Yeah, people are definitely attracted to one, relatable content, and two, negative energy. Not necessarily like negative, I don't know, like aura or something, but like they flock to like negative related content for whatever reason. I'm so curious how you got that specific shot of you and your friend walking with your suitcases over like the rug floors from so high up. I was like, wait, that's so cool. How did she get that? That's so unplanned.
It was unplanned because I wasn't even aware that my friend was filming. So because Hanju, like Coco Soul, was the one helping me with the suitcase, and then my other friend who I flew with me, she was one at AX. She was one filming because she was like laughing at us struggle. So and it was just so good.
That you made do the
oh yeah, the apple dance. Yeah.
The apple dance. Yeah, dang, you knew what I was about to talk about. No, because I thought that was good too, and I was like, oh gosh, like this apple dance is really popping off right now, and she's capitalizing off of it. I didn't understand it at first because wasn't caught up with the meme initially or the trend, and I was like, what is this dance?
No,
but then I realized, and I was like, oh, this is genius.
Yeah, and the fact that you brought up getting ideas from like Instagram and TikTok on other aspects, and then how you can apply that within an artist alley scene, that was one of them, because I did see another, I think it was like a coffee shop who did that exact like format, but they did like the apple dance longer, and they added like that ding sound that like the Square terminal uses, which I should have done, but it's okay. And I thought like I didn't see anyone do that for Artist Alley yet, so I was like I should do that. So we were making like a lot of content, like even like the Chapel Roan like hot to go meme thing. I was like I didn't see that yet in Artist Alley, so I should do that.
Yeah, it can definitely get challenging to film content while you're at a con. Two reasons why I don't necessarily film content during the day is because, one, I think it's cringe. I don't want people to see me like saying lines, messing them up, and then repeating them again, just like out in the open. So not doing that during the con. But second reason is just because it's challenging because you're doing business during the day. So it's not easy to like recreate your ideas while you're there. And that's why I feel like this last event was so challenging for me. But anyway, most of the things I filmed are either at the very beginning, I show up super early so that no one can see me, or at the end with my friends, and we can just have like that extra hour before artists are supposed to leave the venue or the convention hall floor, and we can just mess around and film something, and I can take like 30,000 takes before I get the right one.
No, that's me. Sometimes, like my friend, the same friend who did the apple dance, sometimes she like jokes around, because the way I do my vlogs when I'm like doing my commentary, I have like long pauses in between when I don't know what I'm about to say. And then if I mess up, I have to like start over, and she's like, are you having a stroke? I'm like, no, I'm just trying, because like I already have it in my head, like, okay, I'm gonna like cut this part and I'm gonna cut this part, but it just sounds like I'm crazy when I'm in like the real world. But also the fact that you said that, I'm kind of surprised, because I think one of the reasons why I liked your Anime Expo vlogs is because you're literally like talking while you're like walking in the crowd, and I'm like, I'm too embarrassed to do that. That's why I'm like behind my table.
I feel like that's a little different for me when I'm walking through the crowd and just chatting, because no one's really paying attention to you. But if I'm sticking a camera somewhere and it's stationary and I have to repeat lines or say something like that is loud enough for the microphone to pick up or something, I'm just like, oh God, I don't want to be perceived here. But if I'm just walking through a crowd and there's other people also like content creators vlogging and chatting, like they're on, I don't know, Twitch stream or something, then I feel a little comfortable doing that.
Yeah, I think if I'm more likely to feel like I'm being perceived, I kind of feel a little self-conscious. And I think that's also why in some of my vlogs, I'm a little bit more quiet than usual, because I just know people are listening. I don't think they are, but it feels like they are.
It's all made up in our mind.
Exactly. You edit content really quickly. How do you edit your videos? I think you said it's on a tablet.
Yeah. So over COVID, actually, while everyone was like starting their art business and getting their online shops going and making sales and working on a lot of art, when the pandemic wasn't as prevalent and we were kind of able to go out, I would vlog with my friends, but I wouldn't record myself. I would just record what was going on. I got this app called LumaFusion. It's on iPhone or tablet. I used to edit everything just on my phone, but I switched to tablet because I was like, this is impossible to just work on such a small screen. But it's like $30 and it was really cheap and it was a one-time purchase and the UI was like really smooth. It was really cohesive. I like the hands-on feel of editing rather than using a mouse to click around on a laptop. Like I've tried it before. I think in college they give you like free access to Adobe Premiere or something. I tried editing a video on that and I did not like it. I did not like cutting clips by clicking and scrolling and zooming in. Everything just felt not very intuitive for me. And so being able to edit on my tablet was really convenient. And like I said, like over the pandemic, I didn't even watch any tutorials. I would just learn how to make certain things. If I wanted to, like if I envisioned text going over the screen in a certain way, I would just add that, how to add music, how to do certain cuts and what was entertaining. And then I would just upload it and my friends and I would just watch the video and it would be kind of like reliving an experience for something we just recently did, like a hangout or something. And so that was super fun. And when I saw that there were other vloggers in the artist alley space, it was like almost intuitive for me to be like, oh, I should do this too because I enjoy editing. And at the time I hadn't really edited in a long time because during college was when I was focusing on my school and also making stickers for people. But it was really easy barrier entry for me when I was getting back into it because I was like, oh, I've done this before. This isn't that hard. I think the reason that people believe I edit fast is because that sometimes that's just all I do. Like when I got done with Anime Expo, the following 2 days, like Monday and Tuesday, I just edited all day. Like I woke up and then I edited for like 8 hours straight.
Oh my God.
And then did it again the next day because it was like 4 hours of raw footage to cut out. And I feel like that's something that we don't realize is how much we film during the event. And there's a lot of it where you're like, oh, I gotta take this out. Or this is not that entertaining, or this is like random noises. Why am I like having a stroke here? So it's very tedious, but I just like play some music in the background. I just play a podcast in the background while I'm editing and then cut the clips and add the edits. Since it's on my tablet, I can do it anywhere without having to like sit at a desk. I just lay down and I just feel like it was really intuitive for me.
Yeah, because I feel like out of all of the artist alley vloggers, I feel like yours is usually one of the first ones that go up. Also, like the reason why I like to edit vlogs as soon as the con ends, it's also a way for me to like relive the memories, which is kind of nice. It's like, oh yeah, like I forgot this happened, or oh, like it's so nice like being able to see this part of the con.
Yeah, no, I think more people are also inclined to watch the video if your turnover is fast and they just finished the event as well. And so they want to see something related to that content within the following week. And so I always try to get my content out so that someone out there who is kind of like anticipating it can have it sooner rather than later. I don't know. I just try not to procrastinate on it, mainly because since I'm editing on my tablet, my video files are on the camera's SD card and I don't actually plug it into anything. I just transfer the file straight to my tablet. And so the storage can get full really fast. And in a way, it acts as a pressure for me to get a video out because if I save it up and wait till another event, I'm not going to have enough storage. So I'm like, I have to get the video out as soon as possible so that I can delete everything and then have storage space for an upcoming event.
Yeah, I personally use my laptop. Sometimes I use my laptop, sometimes I use like this desktop to edit. For me, I try to get my video out within like the week, similar reason, because I feel like people are more inclined to watch a video if it's very close to when the event already occurred because they also want to relive the event. I edit on like a desktop or like a computer monitor just because I'm accustomed to that. I've been editing videos for like 10 years now.
Oh my gosh.
I use Final Cut Pro just because when like people were like really into the lifestyle vloggers, all of them were promoting Final Cut Pro, so I just went with that one. I remember trying to use Premiere. It was too complicated for me and I'm like, I don't need to learn this.
That's crazy, no, to hear that you have been editing for 10 years. I think it's a style change for sure. And then just like a mental change as well for how you want your videos to be presented as. And I know that a lot of people in this space who consume the content are either trying to learn from a vlog, relive the moment, or watch something, listen to someone in the background while they're working. And that's what I tend to do when I draw or edit, play someone else's video at an anime convention or such in the background. And so sometimes like having background music in the video is nice, but also just hearing a person talk about their experience at the event is the most entertaining part about having that video play in the background. So sometimes I think that I over edit my videos because if 90% of the viewers that are watching are not necessarily paying attention, then I don't need to add all the little text on the screen or all the edits. If anything, it's probably important for the first minute or two. But after that, if the video is longer than like 30 minutes, you can just yap and not necessarily add a whole bunch of edits about anything crazy.
See,
I don't know if that's true for you too.
no, I used to think that. So I did put a lot of text, and I think it's because that's something that I learned from like Chris Kaiko's videos, because I remember he would put text on his videos. But then there were times where I think some people would comment like, "Oh, the text is like too short," or like short as in I only had it for a small amount of seconds and then it went away. But then I also was talking about what I was saying on the text. So I was like, do I really need to put text? I think for my own sanity, I just stopped putting text unless I just forgot to talk about it in the video. But I think having text is still beneficial because while there are some people like myself who usually have a video in the background, there's still some people who actually like put it on TV or they put it on their tablet and like they watch while they're like eating and they're actually looking at the video. So you can at least like appeal to both types of audiences if they kind of lean towards one or the other. But for myself, I think the reason why I don't know if it's a bad thing, but like I'm always talking in every single part of the video. There is not one part where I'm not talking. And that's because as someone who does watch videos in the background, I wanted to treat my vlogs like a podcast in that you literally do not need to look at the screen to know what is going on. Yeah. I'm also that type of person where like, I just need to have something playing, but I don't want to have to look at the screen because I'm like doing work or I'm washing dishes. So I kind of tried to appeal for that type of audience.
Yeah, I can agree there. And I noticed that also when I like started watching your videos in the very beginning, you had a lot of vlogs, but also a lot of how-to videos. And I'm guessing that's where your video editing expertise comes from, because if I'm watching as a first-time viewer, I'm like, there's no way this girl can just pump out these like how-to videos that seem so professional. Like they had to have experience doing this before, you know what I mean? So
It's like, where did that come from? On the topic of like short form videos, like what you post for like Reels or TikTok, how long does it take to edit like a video on average? I guess like for the one that you did with the Anime Expo deodorant video, how long did that take you?
I think it took me 2 hours to 3. To some people, that sounds pretty crazy because you're spending 2 to 3 hours on a video that is less than a minute. And I think it's because I put so much effort into editing it in a way that is low key, like very brain rot. People see a lot of text. They see a lot of sounds. Sound design is really important. I'm very particular about that as well. If I have an idea of how I want the video to run, how I want it to be formatted, and what edits I want to appear on the screen, then that shortens the time for sure. But if I have to figure it out as I'm editing, I think that's where the 3 hours can come in. And to me, though, it's worth it because say you're spending 3 hours to edit a 1 minute video, but if the watch time on that short form video is like 18 hours because there are tons of people that have seen it, then that's a lot more eyes on not just your video, but your content, and hopefully they'll click on your page or see what you're about. At the end of the day, we're just trying to make more content that depicts our brand, but also can hopefully blow up and a lot more people see it than just your regular followers. It takes I spend a lot of time on them. I sometimes I feel like I should not spend as much time on them, but it's also a consistency thing because if my video doesn't scream sticker zoo to me, then I'm just like, ooh, I need to spend more time to make sure this looks correct and that people can recognize it, because otherwise I'm just another like scroll in the void.
Especially when you put that much effort on it. I feel like at that point it should scream.
Yeah. I like the videos where I am doing the voiceover in person because it's another task I don't have to do later on in post where I have to do the voiceover after piecing together the video content, the B-roll, and then talking about it, writing a script for like the college videos. I have to craft a story out of it and write a short script and be like, this is what happened and this is how it's entertaining and this is how I'm going to show you guys why you should watch the video.
No, yeah, I feel like that also helps save a lot of time later on because, I mean, even though I apply it more with like my vlogs, the reason why, like, I see a lot of other people's Artist Alley vlogs and usually they do their commentary when they're home or when they're in their studio. I don't want to do that. I would much rather finish up my vlog at the con because otherwise I'm not going to want to do anything with that vlog. Like, I just want to edit and then post it. I don't want to do that commentary later on. So really, like, just figuring out where you can save time later and just do all the work is like super helpful.
Especially for long form because Kelsey Kishi Draws, she does a post-con review after every video pretty much. And I'm like, I did that for 2 videos and I was like, nah, I'm over it. I can't do that. I will not make the video if I have to have a separate session where I have to film because that's just extra work for me on top of editing. And I'm just like, let me just edit the vlog and call it a day at the end. So, thanks for watching. And then, and then we move on from there, you know?
Moving on the topic of vlogging, which I feel like we've been talking about vlogging. When did you first start vlogging, like officially?
I started vlogging at cons at the top of this year in 2024 at Anime Los Angeles. I wanted to vlog at the very first event at Anime Expo Chibi, but then I just got a little overwhelmed. I didn't want to, I guess, like stretch myself too thin. I came into the event like, this is my first anime convention. My focus should be on seeing how people are receptive to the new display, like the 6-foot display, and also just networking. And so I was like, let me not have to add editing a vlog or talking to a camera on top of everything else. I waited on that until ALA and then I was just vlogging on my phone. I got like these really cheap microphones and then I got a phone like tripod and then I would just vlog behind my table and I did not like how the microphone sounded. So as I progressed and saved up a little bit from each event, I was looking into how to get a better mic system. A month later, I got these Rode microphones and they're usually for, I don't know, heavier, larger, robust cameras, but there's like an attachment you can use for your phone. And so I got that one and it sounded a lot better. So I was using that for like a couple months. And then I went to Vegas for like just like a business trip and I was visiting my friends at the time. They had a DJI Osmo Pocket 3. When we went to the business event, they let me use it. And I was like, this is so convenient. You're able to flick the camera screen and it turns on. You can turn on the mic in half a second. And the audio sounds amazing. The quality looks amazing. And so I just defaulted to buying it. I immediately bought it like after that weekend. I've been using that since Anime Expo. And I feel like it's a really convenient camera to have to vlog. And it incentivizes me more too, because I'm like, well, I spent money on this device. I have to use it to vlog. Like, why would I not? And I think that a lot of people are starting to use it now too. And I'm like, oh gosh, the new wave, like everyone's hopping on the Osmo Pocket 3, like, yeah.
No, I love that camera. I wish I got it earlier because I had like it was like the first Canon G7X. It was like the one that all the like 2013, 2014 vloggers used to use with like the flippable camera. And like I had it for about 8 years, but then I broke it. It was, I was breaking down for like 626 night market and I broke it shattered and I was really sad. I think I was like researching cameras because I wasn't sure if I wanted another Canon G7X. I went with like the Sony, I think it was like the ZV-1. I really didn't like it. I didn't like the camera quality. Maybe I just didn't know what settings to put, but it wasn't as good as I thought it would be. Stabilization was like the worst thing, which is why like some of my shots in like some vlogs are kind of like not that great and I would use my phone to get like the b-roll. It wasn't fun. And at that point, I think who had the DJI? I think Jiyun had it first. It was like Jiyun or like Lindsay. And I remember they were like raving about it and I thought like, do I really want to buy another camera? I just bought a camera a few months ago. Should I buy a new one? And then I got converted and now I'm like, why didn't I get it earlier? It's like, it's the best. It's the best camera.
Did they convince you or you just like
what's it called? It was a bit of a convincing because I think the first time I saw the camera in person was with Lindsay for ALA this year, and I thought like, oh, like that seems really cool. And then when I saw her vlogs, I'm like, the quality is amazing for like a tiny camera because I didn't want to just buy another camera, and I was like, okay, I think I should get it because I also wanted something that came with a microphone because I noticed my older vlogs, I'm not super happy with the audio quality.
Wait, when did you first start using it? Like which
The
vlog?
first one, I remember I really wanted to get it before Anime Expo. And the con before AX was Anime Riverside. I bought it before then, so I can practice it at Anime Riverside, so I can get it, like, used to it before AX. So then I think, yeah, like late May. I guess, like, talking about vlogs, like, do you plan out how your vlog will go with, like, some points you want to talk about, or do you just go in and kind of see how the weekend will go?
For some of them, I kind of think about how I want to have the video come out. But a lot of the times I go into the event blind and don't have an idea. But I want to think of future events as a possibility to make a creative bit out of this or an enticing video title and thumbnail and then lead from there. When I went to Anime Impulse Phoenix, and it's not really a large show, I knew that I would be staying with people at an Airbnb. So the title and thumbnail were already in my mind before like the event happened. When we went to the place at the Airbnb, I already wanted it to be like a podcast style video with other artists and we just chat about how the event went and things of that nature. So I guess that's an exception for video. Like I had a lot of it planned in my mind of how I wanted it to go, but before that, all the vlogs were just, hey, I'm at this event and this is how it's going because that's all I knew. And so I didn't put a lot of pressure on myself to make something out of it. And so maybe that's why like this last weekend or yesterday, I felt a lot of pressure and anxiety and stress from filming because I wanted to make an idea out of the event rather than just going into it blind and having no expectations for how it will go. But a lot of the events, no, I don't have an idea of how I want it to go. Yeah.
I feel like it's good to have a balance depending on how you are as a person and as a content creator because for me, I don't like to heavily script how my vlog will go because sometimes like day zero, it's like, oh, I have this script going, but then I don't feel like talking about that on day zero. So then I save it for day one and then we'll see if I even bring those up. But I feel like going in without expectations kind of helps you like not stress out about it like you mentioned because I don't want to stick to how I want a video to go. And it's like that's not really how life works either, especially for a vlog. It's very lifestyle oriented. But also personally for me, like I need to have some variance of a script or some kind of like skeleton because otherwise there's like no structure to my vlog and I'm like, what am I even talking about?
Winging it for everything is not the easiest thing.
Yeah.
So having structure, or at least in the back of your mind, is a good way to lead things.
So obviously everyone has their own style when it comes to their videos, but what is something that you wish was more prevalent with other Artist Alley vlogs?
This might just be a personal opinion, but I've watched a handful of other vloggers' content. It's hard to like watch all their videos because there's a large library, especially for someone like Ji-yoon who has been recording for years. I'm assuming you can scroll and there's like a whole bunch of videos, and so you're not going to watch everything. Probably just more the recent ones as they come out and such. From what I can tell, a lot of creators and vloggers in the Artist Alley space tend to just show the event, but I do like when they show things outside of the event as well because it shows a little bit of personality behind it as well. And I think for some viewers and other artists who are watching each other, it's interesting to engage in things that you might not experience while they're at a convention. Getting to know artists by watching their vlog is something I like to see more of. I had someone say that when they're watching me, it's more like a personality-based vlog rather than an informational-based vlog. And I think that is what I'm trying to strive to be, is entertaining by personality, because I feel like I want to show more of me and my friends, how I interact with other artists and things of that nature.
Yeah, I think how many? I've done Artist Alley vlogs for like 2 years now. I think after this AX, I realized that all of my vlogs tend to lean towards just like the convention scene. And I feel like at a certain point, now that I've been doing it for 2 years, I don't know if people like I wouldn't say they get tired, but like there's a potential for people to get tired of my content because it's like the same information every year. I was also trying to get to that point where it's more personality based because I also wasn't sure if people would be interested in me showing a little bit of my personality, which is why like in early vlogs, it's really just convention information because that's also what I wanted in a lot of Artist Alley vlogs. But I think once I started to meet people who did watch my content in person at like conventions, and even like with my friends, they were like, I think you should put more of your personality in vlogs. I think that's why I kind of went in that direction of like, oh, me showing some bloopers of me messing up when I'm talking in vlogs, or even like me vlogging in front of like a tarp because I'm too embarrassed to do my intro in front of people. And I feel like that's also helped a lot because even when I watch a lot of Artist Alley vlogs now, sometimes I'm not just watching for the information, but I want to get to know that artist as a person.
Regarding the personality based vlogging, I think people are interested in learning about how different artists act or talk to each other as well in a more colloquial setting. Well, for you at least, you're kind of a pioneer in this space for vlogging for a lot of things, and you are known for your informational content. But I think there are also people in the audience who want to know you, Macy, as a person, and myself included. I feel like it would be interesting to hear about those things. I know you put up like a poll and asked people what they wanted to see more. And I kind of just wrote a random like response, like, oh, the beginning and end of cons. Like, but honestly, I think that personality and more bits about that, what you like, or like unboxing something or shopping or finding something interesting, that is also something people want to hear. Like I always talk about liking Attack on Titan, I think, in my videos. Not a lot, but I mention it here and there because it's my favorite anime. And so maybe I should like do that more so people know that I'm a huge Attack on Titan fan, but they wouldn't know that because I don't make any Attack on Titan art or stickers. And the reason I actually don't is because I feel like I can't do it justice. I'm like, the anime is too good. I don't want to make art that like
You should.
feels like. Anyway, that's my point on personality based vlogging.
Yeah, I think at this point, like a lot of people also mention that in that poll, like, oh, like Artist Alley artists interacting with each other, because I don't think there's that many vlogs that I know of with a lot of people interacting with each other. And I feel like that's a good insight to have, especially if you're not in the Artist Alley scene. I think the reason why I also started this podcast is because this is a lot of information that I tend to talk about when it comes like with other Artist Alley friends when we go to our con dinners. And I know when I first started, I didn't have access to this information or this type of like network within like the first 9 months of me starting.
Yeah, no, you're definitely a pioneer in this as well, and I think it's inspiring. I don't know when you started the podcast, but I remember watching them and I was like, oh, this is a really cool idea. Like talking with other artists and getting information from people in the same space, but doing a different niches or doing different projects that you aren't, that open insight about certain topics that you feel like you might not have as strong of a grasp on. And so talking with other artists definitely allows that.
Moving on to our miscellaneous / speed round. If you have one, what's your controversial Artist Alley opinion?
I think that convention halls are not as stinky as people make it out to be. That's my controversial opinion. Don't come after me, people. But I just think or at least when I walk around, and maybe it's because I don't really have a great sense of smell, but I don't catch the sour, like stinky whiffs of air when I'm walking around in the Artist Alley or the vendor hall. I feel like a lot of other people say, oh my gosh, this convention, too many people, the CO2 levels are super high, and it's a whole stink fest in there. And I'm just walking around like, everything seems normal to me.
This is coming from the AX deodorant guy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Some people recognize me and be like, you're the deodorant guy. And I'm just like, oh gosh, I don't really want to be known as that. That's kind of crazy. Like, why is this my title? I don't know. It's not necessarily my brand. So I'm just like, it's really, really cool that people have found me through that. But it's also ironic because I'm just like, oh God, it was just for the bit. But
also, I think for me as well, I don't often notice like the odor at anime cons. I think there is only like a very small handful of cons where I can actually say like, oh no, like it stunk. but maybe it's also because I'm wearing a mask. But even when I take the mask off,
Mm,
I don't really notice like certain odors. I think it was just like
hmm.
last year's Fanime. I was like, I cannot eat this granola bar because it smells really bad.
Oh my gosh.
But other than that, like I haven't really noticed odors. Maybe you've answered this, but I guess overall, like business wise, what has been your best investment in your business and why?
I think it's just everything that is mint green because my display is mint green. And so having a banner is really good for people to know who you are. They recognize it. It's really big and bold for anyone to see. And then the color scheme as well. People are like, oh, I know this because of this. Or they get reminded because they've seen a video with it in the background or something of the sort. I just think branding also means like your table runner or your like signage. And so any investment in something that tells people who you are at a glance is a good investment.
Definitely like branding is a big investment that is often like gives good returns just because especially in artist alley like the branding has it's so good now. It's kind of crazy like how much it's grown like in the past couple years. I feel like you can still get away with a more simple looking table, but it's harder to get away with that, especially with how competitive artist alley is. Like everyone's display looks amazing, and it's just so hard to stand out sometimes if you don't have a presence already or if you don't have a following. Like it's kind of insane.
Hmm. Do you think you played a part in contributing to the influx of artists within like the last 2 years?
I honestly don't think so. I feel like the artists who share like their income, I always assumed that people who went into artist alley, not everyone, but like because of the potential income you could make. Because if I was outside of the artist alley scene, I would have thought this was all like hobby. Like I would not have thought that this could be an actual job. Even like growing up, I didn't think you could like make a living as an artist. But now that I realize like, oh, you can like fund your lifestyle with an artist alley career, I think that's why some people like go in, and especially with some artists who do share like their income. Like I personally don't, but like I do know a lot of artists who do. Like I wouldn't be opposed to wanting to do a convention if I can make over 5 figures potentially.
Now, I know there was like a big boom after the pandemic, and a lot of people were able to come back into the scene, and they were also just getting started on their small business. So this was the outlet for people to display their merchandise or work and show it off to people, and also sell it to people. I think watching people on YouTube was a great start for a lot of people to understand how you can make an actual income from this, and it is a possible career path. Like social media is a huge advantage for people to leverage into getting in this space. Like I think watching Julianne Doodles was one of the main catalysts for why I was like, oh, this is possible. Like you can actually do this. And seeing that was like very inspirational.
What's your biggest business insecurity?
I was recently talking about this to Kelsey of Kelsey Kishi Draws. And I was saying that my biggest insecurity is not having enough products. When I look at people like Jiyun of JYK Doodles and Lindsay of Single Sploot, and I see how much they have, I get insecure that, oh, all I do is like stickers and keychains. Like I don't really have a lot here that people can be proud of, I guess. And stickers are, to me, are a very impulsive buy. People get it, but there's not a lot of branding that people can remember you by. Maybe the art style, but yeah, I think I just feel like I'm behind. And I have to constantly remind myself, like, hey, I'm in my first year of doing this, or I just passed my first year of doing this. Like, don't be so harsh on yourself to rush things out. Because when I started a year ago, it was like low key a true start. And I didn't have a really large catalog. So this first year of creating things in the artist alley space was focused on expanding the catalog as well, like just having more designs, having more things. So I didn't want to stretch myself too thin since I've already put all my eggs into this one basket, trying to pursue artist alley and doing events. I shouldn't try to do a lot of different tasks in this space as well. I could just focus on one thing, that's make a lot of designs and see what works for social media and what people are attracted to in terms of putting out content.
It's interesting that you say that because I wouldn't have thought of that you felt that way looking at your display, at least from what I remember at SAC Anime. But I feel like it is definitely like a very valid feeling to have, especially if you're in your first year and you're doing Artist Alley and then you see all of these like more established artists who've been doing it for years and have like a more filled out catalog. But I feel like you're going at like a good pace, and it's good that you knew way in the beginning not to like stretch yourself thin, because I feel like that's a lot of people's beginner mistake, is just wanting to do everything all at once when that's not like the best way to go about it.
Yeah, it's really hard to try to do everything at once.
When did you first feel successful with your business, and what does that word mean to you?
I think I said earlier that success I classify as socially, financially, and overall personally. Finding financial success was a really big factor if I felt confident in continuing to pursue this. And so I did a really small event at the time, like a month into it. It was called Anime Land in Escondido. It was just like in a parking lot. There was a good amount of attendees there. I think the entry fee was only like $5. And I met a couple other artists there, but it was the most I ever made from like the 4 events that I did. And I was like, oh wait, this is actually really good. I was like really excited to continue doing events, because I was like, if every event is like this, then things will actually work out. Like I don't have to eat ramen every night only. Like it's actually possible. So
are you working on any big projects or new products that you'd like to share, or do you have any upcoming events that you wanted to tell the audience?
I like this question because I think to me, projects are more so video ideas rather than like product lines or such. I think that's still the branding and marketing perspective in my brain that's saying that, because I feel like I'm not really much of a designer. Like, I feel like creating a product, creating apparel or something would be really difficult for me and out of my realm. To sum it up, I have like this, since I recently just hit my 1 year of tabling, there's this like really dumb project idea I want to do, and it's called drop kicking my display. Or depending on when this podcast comes out, that video may or may not already be out there. That's like, for whatever reason, something I'm really excited about. I just want to, it's destructive, but it's like, it seems so funny in my mind to be able to do that. And funnily enough, I roped one of my friends into doing this with me. I was like, hey, do you want to do this thing with me? They are super down. They thought it was a genius idea. And I was like, okay, don't feed my ego like too much now. But that's something I'm looking forward to. I'm also just looking forward to a lot of the events I have upcoming.
How many events do you have left actually for the rest of the year?
For the year? Oh gosh, actually there's this week that I'm not necessarily looking forward to because it's going to be really busy. So I have OC Japan Fair in October, and then a little after that, Sin City Anime in Las Vegas. And then that weekend goes straight into UC Irvine's vendor fair. So that week. And then at the end of that week, it's Anime Expo Chibi. So essentially it's 10 days of con back to back. I'm going to cry during that point. But I'm really excited because I thrive off the energy of other people. And so I'm just excited to chat with people in the upcoming 2 months for now. But yeah, no, it's going to be like a really stressful week for me, I think.
Dang. At least it's cooler.
I have a lot to prep for.
It's not
that is
like
true.
summer.
Yeah, like if it was hot, I would just retire at that point. It's over for me. Yeah. No more.
Well, good luck to you on that. Oh my goodness. That's crazy.
Well, you also have a lot of events in November too, so
It's just 3 though. Like, it's only 3, and they're all 2-day events, so I can't complain.
Oh.
And it's like they're technically not back to back, because I have Pasadena the first weekend of November, and then I have Chibi right after. And I didn't realize that Thanksgiving is like, I guess because November is like 5 weeks this year. I don't know about last year, but Thanksgiving is like the last weekend. So there's like 2 weeks in between Chibi and then SJ Made. So I was like, oh, like that's actually really nice. I'm kind of surprised because I thought I just had a 1 week break in between. Not that bad. Well, thank you so much for joining, Henry. Where can our audience find you?
Thank you for having me on the show. I am extremely honored to be here.
Thank you for
Very
being
grateful.
in it.
The audiences can find me at Sticker Zoo Designs on pretty much all the platforms. On YouTube, my channel name is Sticker Zoo Society, but you can also just look up the @ as well. It's the same thing pretty much for all the platforms.
Amazing. Well, thanks again for joining, and thank you to everyone on Patreon for supporting this channel, and thank you to everyone listening in. I will see you all in the next episode. Bye.